Right, well, you can see who our speaker is. Hiro Hirai, I don't pronounce the name again. And his title is Alchemy and Medicine from Joseph Du Chesne's priscorum materia of 1603.
Thank you, Andrew. At the beginning of the 17th century, a bitter conflict emerged between the traditional Galenists of the Paris Faculty of Medicine and the Protestant physicians at the court of King Henry IV. One of these royal physicians, Joseph Du Chesne, also known under his Latinized name, Quercetanus, played a role of advocate for the community of chemical philosophers. On behalf of the School of New Medicine, he published his treatise on the matter of the ancient philosophers through medicine in 1603. This work was intended as an introduction to his compilation of recipes of chemical medicines. An anonymous author published a severe refutation of this work, Apology for the Medicine of Hippocrates and Galen against the treatise of Quercetanus. Its real author was John Leoland the Elder, the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, who was irritated by the growing popularity of Paracelsianism in the capital. Du Chesne soon countered with his work for the Truth of Hermetic Medicine, which placed his chemical medicine in a broad philosophical framework inspired by Renaissance Platonism. This work was stimulated the interest of historians of Paracelsian movement, such as Rainer Poikers and Alain Bibas. Didier Carr and I have also re-examined it in detail. Recently, Du Chesne has been attracting the attention of those who study early modern philosophers such as Francis Bacon, John Locke, and Gottfried Leibniz. But his treatise on the matter of the ancient philosophers through medicine has not come to under the scrutiny of scholars. My paper aims to analyze this treatise, especially in light of the interaction between alchemy and medicine in its theoretical dimensions. Du Chesne's treatise is composed of one book of 8 chapters and is accompanied by 2 appendices. One addresses the signature of things, signature realm, the doctrine based on the morphological analogy between medicinal simples and human body parts to be cured. The other is devoted to things internal signature, which, according to Du Chesne, can be seized only through the labor and art of chemical philosophers. In the preface of the treatise, Du Chesne first affirms that the medical arts has been studied by several schools. Those who based medicine on experience alone are called empirics. Others who reduced the medical arts into a small number of principles are called methodics. Then came those called dogmatics, who appeal to reason so as to understand medicine and reject the reliance on experience alone and the drastic abbreviation of the complex discipline of medicine. Judging only the last school worthy of acclaim, Du Chesne also defines the dogmatics as Galen's followers. To this list, Du Chesne adds a fourth group, which many estimate to be new, but according to him, is the oldest of all. This is the school of Spagetics, also called Hermetics, because they are the followers of the mythical Hermes Trismegistus. They employ 2 instruments, reason and experiment, in order to seek the internal essences of natural things. After describing these medical sects, Du Chesne tries to refine the meaning of medicine, medicina. According to him, what the dogmatics mean by this word is an art composed of precepts and remedies to restore health and eliminate diseases. By contrast, medicine does not signify a not, but a certain essence found in natural things. That essence can be extracted from everything and can eliminate all kinds of diseases. It is the true medicine, medicina vera of the specialists. For Du Chesne, the task of the Hermetic doctors is to eliminate the roots of diseases emerging in the human body by this special medicinal substance, which he also called a vital balsam, balsamus vitalis. Du Chesne also refers to Jean Fernel, one of the most important medical humanists in the Renaissance. He reproaches Fernel for having failed to uncover the secret substance of the universal medicine and for having erroneously attributed its nature to occult properties. Here, Du Chesne is following the Danish Paracelsian Petrus Severinus to evaluate Fernel's achievement in a nuanced way. Then Du Chesne admits that the material of the universal medicine has been assigned diverse names such as quintessence, elixir, potable gold, stone, and heaven, although these names all mean one and the same substance. Why is it also called balsam? Du Chesne answers, I quote, "Philosophers also rightly call this material balsam because it has a certain medicinal nature as the source of actions and fecundity. The true and universal medicine of all diseases resides in its fecundity, in the faculty or power, the restoration of health and renewal and preservation of the bodies also consist in it." End quote. On the material of the universal medicine, Du Chesne emphasized the close connection between alchemy and medicine. For him, Hermes and other great figures had only one goal, the quest for this supreme medicine. Their study even reached the transmutations of metals, and they called this material the philosopher's stone. However, Du Chesne expresses a reservation about gold making by arguing that the stone ended up as a target of mockery through the fault of impositors and ignorant self-fashioned sages. To illustrate this situation, he quotes at length Giovanni Aurelio Augelli, who is one of his important authorities. Next, Du Chesne turns to Sept, because he believes that the material of the universal medicine must be low in price and omnipresent in nature. He finds only one candidate, I quote, "I really do not see anything to which I could attribute all these qualities and properties but to Sept, that prime mover and universal balsam of nature. That is why this art is called alchemy by the ancients, so to speak, the fusion of Sept." End quote. Du Chesne then identifies his universal medicine with a special kind of salt, nitril, or saltpeter, saltpetrite. To explain its internal structure, he introduces the idea of hypostatical principle, principia hypostatica, by comparing the Paracelsian doctrine of the three principles, tria prima of natural things, to the divine Trinity. This is the source of Robert Boyle, who used the same expression in his refutation of the Paracelsian theory of the tria prima. In any event, Du Chesne explains that saltpeter contains two volatile parts, sulfurous and mercurial. The sulfurous part is its soul, while the mercurial part is its spirit. The former comes close to the prime mover of nature, which is nothing but the ethereal and celestial fire. Du Chesne goes even further to argue that this vivifying sulfur is called vegetative soul in plants and radical moisture, implanted heat, and nectar of life in animals. Its defect immediately brings forth their death. Thus, saltpeter holds the secret of life in living beings, thanks to its balsamic nature. After all these discussions, however, Du Chesne make it clear that the true saltpeter of philosophers is not the same as common saltpeter. Next, Du Chesne addresses gold by arguing that philosophers sought a universal medicine in gold because of its perfect and incorruptible substance. They try to break the solid bonds of gold so as to liberate its vegetative spirit, which lay hidden and dormant. When common gold is brought into this animated state as philosophical, spiritual, and medicinal gold, its vegetative power is activated and increased. By communicating its vegetative power, animated gold vivifies, reinforces the radical balsam of the human body. This balsam can preserve the human body by eliminating illnesses from the body. Du Chesne identifies this radical balsam with the innate spirit of the human body. For him, this spirit does not depend on the mixing of elements and works as the principle of all actions in the human body. Further explaining its nature, he calls upon a passage from Galen's commentary on Hippocrates, Aphorism 115, fat forms, augments, and nourishes the animal until its death is nothing but natural heat. This passage was the origin of the famous doctrine of the native heat or innate heat, which was the cardinal point of Galen's physiology. Du Chesne's appeal to this passage in his chemical medicine is very significant because it emphasizes the affinity between Galen and Hermetic doctors. That is why he complains about the traditional physicians' erroneous criticism of the internal use of animated gold, which is perfectly conceivable in the framework of Galenic medicine. For him, other metallic remedies which work similarly by way of metallic spirits are comparable of balneotherapy, which is accepted by these physicians. Du Chesne thus justifies the use of animated gold, which is for him nothing but the potable gold. His main authority in this discussion is Pseudo-Rule, especially his work on quintessence. Now let us see how Du Chesne's universal medicine works. According to him, taken into the human body, the balsamic medicine is immediately tied to the physiological spirit because of its kinship with their spiritual nature. In communicating its power, the universal medicine stimulates and fosters the radical balsam, which is identified with the nectar of life as the source of all biological actions. What is this radical balsam? Du Chesne pictures it as a torch of life burning in the human body. Its fire is of an ethereal and celestial nature, which does not burn nor consume but vivifies. When the radical balsam of the human body is weakened by external obstacles, it must be aided by a certain stimulator to properly execute its functions. This stimulator is the balsamic medicine. That is why Du Chesne calls his universal medicine the assistant of the radical balsam. Here it is important to emphasize that the balsamic medicine is nothing but the auxiliary, while it is only the human radical balsam that can preserve life by eliminating diseases from the body. Du Chesne further explains his notion of radical balsam, which holds the secret of life. To that end, he calls upon Galen. This is the first step in his strategy to make chemical medicine acceptable to the eyes of traditional physicians. According to him, Galen defined disease as an affection that damages the action of the nature in the human body. For Du Chesne, the radical balsam is nothing but this nature of which Galen spoke, or at least an instrument that assists this nature. Du Chesne goes even further to identify his radical balsam with what Hippocrates called the human being's nature, physis anthropon, as the dispenser of biological actions in the human body. Although this nature exceeds the realm of the four elements and thus is incorruptible, its functions can be disturbed by external obstacles. On behalf of all medical schools, Du Chesne emphasized the necessity of restoring the integral and pristine state of this nature by eliminating those obstacles first. But as a discipline of the Hermetic doctors, he declares that this can be done only by the balsamic medicine prepared through chemical processes. Here, the overall argument of Du Chesne revolves around the notion of the nature for which he invoked the authority of Galen and Hippocrates. Then he reveals the true identity its true identity by quoting at length a passage from Galen's method of healing. I quote, it's long, but I quote, so that no one could estimate that these things are our own inventions brought with temerity. Besides the above-mentioned words of Galen, let us listen to what he maintains in the 13th book of his method of healing. The main goal of a physician must be to bring patients to their natural state. This is the sole cure to apply, leaving other things aside, in order to preserve the source of the faculty of acting. Now, this consists in innate heat, which, being vigorous, not entangled, preserves the body from danger. It is an undoubted axiom that vigorous natural heat is always needed to remove something unnatural invading the body. These words of Galen are correct. All of his followers will acknowledge that it is this nature, the vivifying radical balsam, which provides all salutary functions. This nature is the true and genuine healer of all diseases, as we have already declared here and above, according to Galen. End quote. Thus, for Du Chesne, the real identity of the healing and governing nature in the human body is its innate heat, the cardinal concept of Galen's medical philosophy. On this basis, he concludes that the balsamic medicine restores this vital fiber by bringing it to its pristine state. Although Du Chesne was heavily influenced by the tradition of the late medieval Lutheran alchemy, the role of chemistry was for him, first of all, to serve a medical end. At the crucial moment in his justification of the use of chemistry, he needed to appeal to the authority of Hippocrates and especially of Galen, in order to make chemistry acceptable to the traditional physicians. There is, however, a trick of fate in this story. Du Chesne delivered Galen's words at the climax of his discourse to convince the traditional physicians. Although it looks genuine in its style and contents, the passage is most likely a fake. At the present stage of research, I cannot judge whether Du Chesne intentionally invented this passage or erroneously confused it with someone else's commentary on Galen's idea. But this issue apparently escaped Leoland's inquisitorial eyes and tangibly increased the impact of Du Chesne's discourse. These words of Galen were adopted by Martin Leoland in his defense of chemical medicine in 1607, then by Otto Tackeus in his famous Hippocrates Chemicus, 1669, to illustrate the affinity between Galenic medicine and clinical remedies. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for the really clear exposition of Du Chesne's medical chemistry, and also the way in which he sort of incorporates Galen as a justification for what he's doing. It's one strategy that keeps on coming